Every weekday between 1 and 2 p.m., we release our Central Indiana Scoreboard show. It's similar to the ESPN Radio Sports Center, but focuses on Central Indiana sports like the Pacers, Fevers, Colts, IndyCar, IU, Purdue, Ball State, and more. Every single weekday between 1 and 2 p.m. Please join us. You're listening to podcast number 271.2, John Robertson's and Michelle Garmon's reaction to the Fevers' 91-90 loss to the Atlanta Dream.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, Fever fan, to the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, joined on the Riverside app by John Robertson and Michelle Garmon, here talking about the Fever's first loss of the season, and a stunning one. It was a lot like a lot of those Pacers games that we see where they just kind of sleepwalk through certain parts of the game, and they dominate other parts of the game, but it's just not quite enough. I guess they're not going to go undefeated, John.
Yeah, they're not going to go undefeated. It's really funny that you say that it looked like the Pacers, because about somewhere in the end of the third, start of the fourth quarter, that was my exact thought. I go, this feels just like a Pacers game that I've seen so many times this season, where they got behind and then started to make a really good, exciting comeback, and the crowd was insane, and then just fell short.
Tell me, it seemed like the Fevers, they're, I guess, big three, if you want to call it that, in Caitlin and Boston and Mitchell, they scored well, but it seemed like the Fever had trouble getting consistent scoring production from the rest of the squad.
Yeah, if I had to say one of the takeaways from the night is the core three, and then plus Lexi played really well. I mean, Boston was battling underneath with Brittany Griner, and Kelsey Mitchell was playing her usual speedy fastball, and Caitlin was going to be Caitlin. Lexi was playing well, doing the things that don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, but she was hustling, she was, disrupting, playing defense, she was doing all those things. And then, it just seemed like the other people, or the new acquires, let's call them the new acquires for the team, they weren't really on the same pace, or on the same, they weren't clicking yet. And it kind of reminded me at the beginning of last year when Caitlin first joined the team, she was playing so fast and trying to get everybody up to speed with her. It's like the new members of the team just aren't quite there yet. I don't want to sit here and rip on them and say they played terrible or they're bad. It's just, it feels like they're not quite on the same tempo. And I think as the season goes on, we'll see that start to resolve itself.
John, how much do you think they missed Sophie Cunningham tonight?
I think they missed her, right? I think they missed her. I think Sophie being in there changes the game some. Brianna Turner did not have a good game. Look at Bonner. Bonner had a real bad game. I don't think those. Or Natasha Howard had 6 points. So that's not great. And too many missed free throws, a lot of missed inside shots from everybody. So to answer your question, Greg, is I don't think that depth is going to be a problem once they get on the same page, but I think to start it might cause some problems.
4 of the starters played 29 minutes, as did Lexi Hall, as you mentioned. Played well. She was plus 14 off the bench. It was really the only contributor off the bench tonight. And again, you were right. Boston, Mitchell, and Clark they shot really well. They played really well most of the game. Caitlin Clark, 27 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Boston, her second double-double, 24 points, 10 rebounds, and also had 4 assists as well. And Mitchell was 9 for 15 from the field, finished with 24 points. So that's the good thing. I think those 3 are going to be really reliable.
I think so too. And even Caitlin started off slow. I think she was 1 for 3 from the field to start the game, or from 3-point to start the game. So the first quarter was kind of slow to get going. But once Caitlin got in her groove, she had really good stats after the first half, and then just continued. Like she was on pace for a triple double again, and then just couldn't get it all the way. But like a lot of people, if you look at the reactions, social media is social media. A lot of people overreacting already to one loss. We're 2 games into the season, right? And they're mad at people that didn't play well. There's a lot of people blaming the free throws at the end of the game, which obviously is frustrating. You can't go 0 from 4 from the free throw line, and then Boston missed she went 1 for 2 critical free throws at the end. But like the thing I always remind people is the points that you miss in the beginning of the game count for just as many points as the ones you miss at the free throw line at the end. So while they're the obvious glaring, yeah, that stinks. But like if we make any of the easy underneath layups that we missed, that we win the game, or I'm just going to focus on the fact that the core people that have been together for a year played really well once they got going. But let's not deny they had a flat start. They started very flat. I don't remember what the score was at the beginning, but like Atlanta started off up, I think maybe 8 points before the Fever really started doing anything. I didn't have my notebook with me, so I couldn't keep tabs. But
yeah, it was definitely an ugly start. They gave up 31 points in the first, 32 points in the third. That's not going to win a lot of games.
Yeah. But you could feel it in the crowd too. The crowd was really excited at the beginning of the game. Like it felt like a almost Pacers playoff level atmosphere at the start of the game, and then it just kind of died off. And then towards the end, like it was hype again. Like it felt really hype, but like it was just not enough to get it done.
What was it like when Clark knocked down those back-to-back three-pointers late? What was it like in the building?
Big. Well, the first one, actually, she hit the first one, and you got a reaction, but it wasn't as big as I really thought it was, and she wasn't even as happy with the reactions, so she started doing the throw her hands up, get the crowd, try to orchestrate the crowd a little bit, and then they started getting into it, and then when she hit her next one, like, they exploded, and I turned to my daughter, I said, if they tie this game or take the lead, the lid's going to pop off this place, and it did, but then the foul at the end to give shots to Atlanta, I think it was Ryan Howard, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
To hit those 2 points at the end.
My heart felt for Kelsey Mitchell because you can see, even on the TV, they kept going. And I mean, this is the big difference between the Fever this year and the past couple of years. I mean, it's just game 2, but I mean, Kelsey Mitchell was heartbroken that she was whistled for that, for that foul that resulted in the 2 game-winning free throws. I mean, it bothered her. She got it. It was bothering her when she walked off the floor.
And you can talk about how Boston was furious with herself for missing a free throw too. Like she looked disgusted also. So
yeah,
same thing. But I agree with you. I guess we do have to at least discuss the officiating, and I know that we are, at least 2 of us are on the same page as we're not going to blame a game on officiating, but like I will say that is some of the worst I've ever seen. And I'm not going to blame the loss on that, but like I've never in my life been to an NBA or a WNBA game where there's 3 challenges in the first half and they're all overturned. And so, I mean, that to me points out that they're getting the calls wrong. It wasn't good. There was one where I'm trying to remember. I think it might've been Lexi. There was a loose ball, a Fever player and Dream player both going for it, and like the Fever player is in front of Atlanta, and the Atlanta player just trips over him, and they called the foul on the person who was trying to get the ball. I'm like, what in the world? There was just some really bad officiating. But again, I don't.
Also, is it possible that Atlanta's a little better than we thought?
Oh, definitely. I think that Griner had a monster game. Griner had 21 points. I don't know how many rebounds, 8 rebounds. So, her plus minus is -1, but still, she had 21 points. Brianna Jones was playing great with 19. Ryan Howard had 20. So, yeah, Atlanta was looking strong. They were shooting really well. I mean, every time the Fever would make a push, Atlanta would come down and hit a 3 or hit a good shot, and, it would just take the momentum out of it.
I think sometimes, and I know I am because I just now crossed my mind, I think I forgot just how good the Dream can be because Ryan Howard missed a lot of last year because of injury. So you didn't So and then Griner wasn't a part of that team, and I thought Griner tonight looked better than she's looked for the past 2 or 3 years, as far as smooth and her moves and more athletic. I mean, she actually looked like maybe she is even in a little bit better physical condition, I should say.
Well, let's also look at the Fever roster, and Aaliyah Boston's our biggest player, right? We have, and I don't even know that Aaliyah is really a true center. So when you go up against Brittany Griner, you're going to have a difficult time underneath, right? Like that could be the weakness of this Fever team. We'll just have to see how it plays out. It didn't feel like they were playing as fast as the Fever didn't feel like they were playing as fast as they normally do. I don't remember. I'd have to find a stat, but it didn't seem like or feel like they had a lot of fast break points. It was a lot of half court offense tonight too.
Well, I'm sure it didn't help.
That may or may not play into
it probably didn't help either that the Fever have had to spend the last few days discussing what I call something ridiculous in the investigation into the racial slurs and the booing and boo-hoo. And I mean, I am sorry, is Angel Reese not the biggest I can sure dish it out but I can't take it player in the league right now? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, Greg and I talked about that a little bit on our Pacers show the other day. I mean, if we're gonna touch on it, I personally don't want to spend a ton of time on it because I think it's already gotten so much media play the way it is. But I really feel like they asked Angel about it today, and she gave a very vague response that in there, which didn't say. She kind of said I didn't hear anything without saying I didn't hear anything, but she didn't openly admit it. And then their coach said we found out about it the same time everybody else found out about it later on social media, which to me says no one said or heard anything.
Exactly.
Yes.
But that's going to be what I feel like, we have to look at the history of the WNBA. There's always been a level of political activism and stuff in it. And that's not going to go away, I don't think. So they're going to have to learn to just ignore it. And I think Caitlin does a great job of ignoring it. I think she really does. Yeah. She says her media training is unbelievable. She says what she needs to say and she moves on without condemning or feeding the fire. I really feel like if you look at the people that played well, it's because they had been together and they've know each other, right? Like it really is the big three scored well. I mean, 24 for Boston, 24 for Mitchell, and 27 for Clark is really good. 3 players in 20s is solid. And then the rest of them will just get on this. They'll get together as the season goes, and I think that only leads to. I mean, you don't want to peak too early, right? You don't want to be great at the beginning of the season and then fall off in the playoffs. So have them hit their stride at the right point.
But we were hoping they'd go unbeaten, right?
Well, obviously we were. I mean, I hit all my legs on my parlay except for the money line for Fever. So yeah, I needed that. Oh. So I'm 2 for 2 on the WNBA season. I'm batting 500, which I'm still up money, but it was an exciting game at the end. I mean, it was very flat in the middle. So
hard to watch at times.
Yeah, how was the broadcast, Michelle? I'm curious what the broadcast and the announcers were like.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it looked good. They didn't. I liked it because they stayed on the game. My big pet peeve, it's probably because I love sports and I know it's an entertainment value, but I really enjoy just the sports part. And I think sometimes they try to turn it into too much entertainment and get off on tangents. But I thought they stayed directed on the game, at least in the fourth quarter, which I think is very good because, it was a close game and it's coming down. So nothing burns me more than when they get talking and they like to tell their own little stories or tangents and then something happens and you're not really sure and they don't ever tell you because they're just going on their tangent.
You got to remember that, the diehard sports fans and the super casuals have 2 different ideas, and they're trying to meet in the middle, right? They're trying to meet. Right.
We are definitely not the casuals.
No, of course not. I guess the biggest takeaway I got from tonight is don't get too low on it. Yeah, we were really high on Saturday because it was a super fast, great win, and tonight was, flat start and disappointing at the end. But I think we're fine. I think the team. I say we. I'm not on the team. I think the team's fine.
We is completely accepted on this podcast.
All
What's
right.
the name of the team?
The Fever.
Indiana Fever.
Oh, yeah.
If
Yeah.
they're in Indiana, they're we. They represent us.
That's fair. I just know some people don't like it.
I love it.
All right.
Are
Yeah.
we?
I think the season's fine. I wouldn't get too low off this one loss. I would make sure that I would hope that the players that had the missed free throws or the missed layups, I hope they're not too hard on themselves and blame the full loss on them. But I would like them to dial it in for the next game.
Thank you so much to John and Michelle for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report, especially John for making time after going to the game as a spectator. And thank you for listening. Please consider helping us out by telling your friends and family and everyone you know about the Central Indiana Sports Report. We humbly thank you in advance. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.